Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It's another edition of Catching the Curve right here on YSN. Bob Camardo joins us as always. Bob, we talk about it a lot, but I mean, that banquet on May 5th is approaching faster than a bullet train coming right at us. I mean, it's April 10th as we record this. For you, you guys are kind of under the gun now. It's time to shine. What things do you have leading up to the event?
Well, you're right. It's less than a month away now, and we've got. I know Tom Miller, our banquet chairman, and I are going to Mr. Anthony's next week to finalize menu stuff and all that thing. But yeah, Patty Shuley, our person that does the tickets, she's been up against the gun to trying to get people to. Because people like to wait till the last minute. You know how that goes. But we're still hoping for a big crowd. I think we will. We're looking to maybe bump our advertising up a little bit because that's the only fundraiser we have is that banquet. So it's important for us to make enough money so that we're able to give the charities, which is what we do with that money. But yeah, it's close. It's the final touches are being put on. We have a board meeting next Wednesday where we'll finalize everything that we have to do, but we're pretty much ready to roll.
From your standpoint, obviously a lot to get ready for the banquet, but there's time in between for speakers and people, to still make an impact on what you guys do on a daily, I guess a weekly basis on Mondays.
Well, and then don't forget, too, that Gene Steratore, who was being highlighted during the Final Four there, will be our guest speaker at the banquet itself. So
that's awesome.
We're certainly looking forward to him. But I was telling you off air here before we started that I had left some spaces open in May for scheduling just in the case that we needed to introduce new basketball coaches at YSU, and lo and behold, we've got two of them.
Lo and behold.
So May 6th, the day after the banquet, in fact, Ethan Faulkner, who I know very well from his years with Coach Calhoun, will be coming to speak to us. And then on May 20th, it'll be Melissa Jackson, the new basketball coach. And I think the 13th, we're kind of looking to honor the bowling team, YSU bowling team. They're in the Final Four this weekend. Hopefully they win a national championship, and if that be the case, we certainly want to recognize them. And then as far as the next few weeks go, we had, this past Monday, we had Joe DeRosa, a former NBA and NCAA Final Four official, which was appropriate because the national championship game was that night. And Joe is just the best there is. He was a great referee, and he has that company called Smitty's where they do all the apparel for the refs. So I think he wakes up in the morning in a pile of money, but God bless him. He's a great guy. Everyone loves listening to him. Our numbers were down a little bit Monday for the luncheon because I think people were home hiding under their beds because of the eclipse. But obviously nothing terrible came from that. But a lot of people watched it too, so that was a good thing. But then this coming Monday, April 15th, we've got Doug Phillips coming. This Saturday is the spring football game, so he's going to recap the spring football game this coming Monday, and he's going to be bringing some couple players with him. And then April 22nd, we've got Rob Harris, a new YSU lacrosse coach, and I know they're struggling this year, but he's playing a lot of young kids, so I'm sure they'll be fine going forward. And then on April 29th, Matt Thompson, the Mahoning Valley Scrappers assistant general manager, always comes and talks to us and lets us know what's going on with the Scrappers.
That time of year, Scrapper season, obviously exciting for us here at YSN with that partnership we have with the Mahoning Valley Scrappers. So for you, in sitting on that talk on Monday during your meeting, what were some of the stories that were passed on, especially when you're talking about a national championship and something like that? Obviously, UConn getting the big win. What were some of the stories that were shared on Monday?
Well, one of the things that drew a lot of talk was if you go harken back to the women's Final Four on, I guess it would have been Friday night, the semifinals, when Connecticut played Iowa. In the last 4 seconds, there was a offensive blocking
illegal screen.
Thank you. Call on Connecticut, and when you looked at the initial replay on television, it's like, man, that's a terrible call to make that close to the end of the game. But when you looked at the overhead view of it, the girl who set the screen, her legs were spread completely to the point where she lunged into the girl. It was actually an excellent call. It's just a shame that it happened with 3 seconds left in the game. And that's what Joe was talking about. He was talking about having to make split-second decisions on plays like that at the very end of games, when you know in the back of your mind it may dictate who wins the game, but he goes, you have to make the right call, you know.
Oh, it's
And
incredible.
he talked about all his years in the NBA and you know, dealing with the Michael Jordans and Larry Birds and Magic Johnsons of the world, and I know he was very well thought of as an official, and even at the collegiate and professional level. So there was probably some stuff he couldn't tell us, you know, without the language getting
Sure.
too colorful. But now Joe's a great guy, and we love having him come in every year.
I love the fact that you kind of built in some space for potentially new coaches. And like you said, lo and behold, here you are. We're all grateful for Coach Calhoun and what he
Yes.
was able to bring this program back to what we think is going to be good for some time. The new coaches coming in, I know that you're very acquainted with YSU and the new coaches that roll through those hallways. The excitement level that you have personally for these new coaches and for the programs, where does it lie?
I felt bad for John Nicolay, the women's interim coach who did not get the head job. I know he wanted it, and he's a great guy. But I think that the athletic department, as far as the women's end of it goes, wanted to just go in a different direction.
Sure.
And having met Melissa Jackson and watched some of the stuff she's been doing and what have you, she's a bundle of energy. I think she'll do well. YSU women's basketball is a good job to have because the fan base is second only to Green Bay in the Horizon League. The people really care about women's basketball at YSU. So I think she'll do well. They may struggle a little bit next year. They're going to have a lot of young kids, and they lost a lot, you know, but then that team didn't do that well anyway, so maybe losing them isn't that bad of a thing. But I think she'll do well. Now, Ethan Faulkner was moved to associate head coach a few years ago just with this in mind, and I think it was the guy that's the sports editor for the Vindicator. His name escapes me at this moment. He wrote an article about Calhoun leaving, and he goes, if it seems like it was inevitable, because it was inevitable. They moved Faulkner to that job a few years ago because they knew that this day was coming. You know, Calhoun, he's a special guy. We're going to miss him quite a bit. I know I will personally, but he got a better job. What are you going to do? I mean, that's what I talked to a guy at the luncheon the other day, and he was all upset. He goes, I can't believe Calhoun left us high and dry, promised to get in the terminus. And then I go, let me ask you a question. Would you go somewhere to more than triple your salary when you got 4 little kids? Oh, yeah, I guess so. Well, that's what he did, you know. And
It's a business.
It's a business, exactly. And it's a business with the kids and with the coaches.
And I think the coolest thing about Coach Calhoun is the fact that he's always going to be proud of his Youngstown roots here and what he's been able to build here at Youngstown State. So I'm a fan of him forever. I was a fan of Coach Barnes as well. I'm looking forward to the next chapter, though, because this is a fan base that has that taste in their mouth when you think about success and getting to the next step. The next logical step for both programs, obviously, the tournament.
Absolutely. And you know, anyone that wants to denigrate Calhoun, think about going to a game 5 years ago and the atmosphere was dead and the place was mostly empty. And then the past couple of years, especially that NIT game against Oklahoma State a year ago, the place was rocking. I mean, he turned it into a place for people to go to basketball games. And on top of that, this summer they're doing the renovations of Beagley Center, which he spearheaded. And that's going to be kind of, I think, his legacy, other than the last two seasons of winning 20 games or more. The Beagley Center is going to look a lot different. It's because of him. That's happening.
And you hope that he's able to come back and at least cherish that a little bit. And we welcome him home with open arms, so to speak.
I know him well enough to know that he obviously had to take that job. It's a better job. It's a heck of a lot more money. But he had some mixed feelings about leaving here. He felt that the job was not finished here yet. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, again, one of the reasons why it's good that Ethan Faulkner's getting the job, because he was involved in everything Calhoun did the last number of years, and I think he'll be able to carry it on. I really do.
Switching gears real quick, you said that Coach Phillips is going to be joining you on Monday after the spring game. You and I talked about they're losing a lot defensively from that standpoint. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people asking questions about transfer portal and what they're getting and what they're losing and things of that nature. What are your expectations for the talk on Monday?
Well, the bad news is that all the defensive players are transferring or have graduated. The good news is that all the defensive players have graduated or transferring because the defense was pretty bad last year for the most part. The teams that they played that were very good basically ran up and down the field on them, especially Villanova in the playoff game. So maybe an overhaul is a good thing, but and there's a new defensive coordinator too. So obviously a lot of that's going to have to come out in the wash. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But I think Doug Phillips does a great job. He's been able to navigate the portal and the NAL stuff almost as well as Calhoun has. And it's not an easy thing. You're more of a general manager than you are a coach these days. And he's got 130 kids or whatever on that team, so he's got a lot on his plate. But he's got a lot of energy. He's got the young wife and baby, so he has to have a lot of energy. But I think he does a really good job. And their schedule's a little rough this year, so they have to open up at Villanova again, and so they're going to play a lot of young kids too. And the new quarterback, and is going to be an interesting thing because I don't know that people appreciate how good Mitch Davidson was. He was excellent quarterback. So we'll see. I mean, that's part of the fun of having a new season every year. You see what happens.
Well, I was just going to ask you, as a guy that loves sports gambling, I'm going to put a little bit of a hook on this. 2.5 questions. Take the over, the under, if you'd like, Mr. Camardo.
Go ahead.
How many? I guess the question's going to be, who's going to play quarterback for this team when you've got Brady Shannon coming in and you've got obviously Bo Brungard, 2 quarterbacks here locally that have written their own legend and their legacies at their high schools. How many questions do you think it'll happen before somebody asks Coach Phillips about that particular?
Probably a half. Probably a half. But, I think right now it's probably Brungard's job to lose. He's been there. He knows the offense. And I know for a fact that they like him a lot.
Sure.
He can run around very well. Now, whether he's able to throw the ball good enough, obviously we'll wait and see. But Shannon's an intriguing prospect as well because he hasn't played football for a few years, but he was very, very well thought of coming out of high school.
I'm excited to hear about that Curbstone coaches meeting, and obviously we entice you and implore you, get out there. If people want to join you on Monday with Coach Phillips, how do they get involved?
All they got to do is show up. Avion on the Water Banquet Center, and again, those people do such a great job hosting us. We start the buffet about 11:45, $15 all you could eat, and then about 12:10 or so. Coach Phillips will speak, and he's going to bring a couple players with him as well. So it's always interesting to hear those kids' stories, and again, the question and answer sessions are usually pretty lively. So we're looking forward to that quite a bit.
And then obviously May 5th is the banquet. If people still want to get involved, want tickets, they're still on sale?
Yes, Patty Shuley is our ticket person. You can get information on our website, thecurbstonecoaches.org. We also have a Facebook page, so please give her a call. I don't have her number handy with me right now, which is my mistake.
It's okay.
But
we'll put it on the website.
Yeah, it's on the website. So please consider joining us because it's a special night. There's 12 people being inducted, and we've gone over their names before. But to celebrate the accomplishments of those people is a special thing. And like I said, that's the only quote-unquote fundraiser we do all year. So it's important for us to get good attendance, good advertising. And again, with Gene Steratore speaking, it should be a heck of a night.
Great featured speaker, great people in attendance as well. I will be there along with many others, so we're excited to break bread with some great people on May the 5th.
So should I go out of my way to introduce you before or after the national anthem? Or
No, never.
We're glad you're there.
We're hiding in the back. I told Patty, make sure our table is way in the back. Coach Hake will be there, I'm sure. We'll be stirring up trouble, all kinds
Coach Hake was at our luncheon this past Monday.
Was he?
For Joe DeRosa. Yes, he was.
Love him. One of my best friends in the entire world.
He's a great guy.
He's going to stir it up.
Seeing him.
That's going to do it for this edition of Catching the Curb with Bob Camardo. Bob, thanks as always.
Thanks, and I want to let you know that normally Chuck's with me.
Yep.
But they wouldn't let him out of the home this morning, so I had to do it myself. But thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Got it.